Head out there as well. They take all four signs.
So now this is recording, and then I'll go to our live blog, embed it in there, and I'll take like a minute to. Then this is what people will see if they're on News Times right now.
Yeah.
They can make it bigger if they want, so just give it a second to catch up. Okay, we're here live at Danbury Democratic headquarters with Joe DaSilva Jr. Senior, I'm sorry. You told me that a million times. Junior is around the corner, also doing work for the Danbury Democrats. Mr. DaSilva is a former Common Council president, and he served as chief of staff for former Mayor Gene Eriquez. So you've been to a lot of these election day activities. What's happening around us right now? The room is abuzz. There's people in and out. What are people doing today?
Well, basically, we're getting the vote out. That's the most important thing for both parties. Any candidate is getting the vote out, getting your people out to vote, obviously. And the vote today is outstanding. It's unprecedented, I believe, so far.
Any idea of what the percentage is here in Danbury?
As of, I think, 2 o'clock, the 138th district was 48%.
Okay.
And that's more than, we sometimes get the whole day. So we expect it to be very high.
And just from eavesdropping of some of the volunteers here, I guess a lot of people, you're calling them up and saying, have you voted? And they already have.
Yes.
And that's different.
Obviously, about half of them have already.
So they're all out there.
Yeah. Sure.
And then in terms of, they're saying, I was at Republican headquarters earlier, and it looks like, without question, Barack Obama's going to take Connecticut.
It seems that way, certainly.
And do you think that'll translate to, like, say, Dwayne Perkins in the 24th State Senate? Do you think that'll help him, or?
It certainly won't hurt. Whether it's enough to bring Dwayne or any other candidate through, just by that, I don't know. But it should help some. It should help some. But you still have to have good candidates, and the coattails only go so far.
And so they were saying at the Republican, it's still local. It's still about knocking on doors and getting the word out there.
Tip O'Neill said all politics are local, and I think he was right.
And then in terms of the volunteers you have here today, is it different than you've had in years past? Have you found more people coming?
Younger people.
Okay.
This is an election of younger people, certainly. We have a lot more younger people. And some of the old-timers, if you will, like myself, who have been around for many elections, but a lot of younger kids.
And I guess that's the presidential election that is getting the younger people?
Well, a lot of people come out for Dwayne Perkins and Chris Murphy. Don't forget, he has a lot of volunteers. Most of our volunteers are from the Murphy campaign.
Okay, and the Murphy campaign, are they from Greater Danbury specifically, or are they coming from all over?
Generally speaking, they're from all over, but there's a lot of local people working.
So I guess my next question was going to be, if you have new faces here in Danbury headquarters, what do you do to try to keep them in the fold, say if there's for a local election the next time?
Well, keep them interested, show them what you have and what you need and where you want to go and how they can help. And do the best you can to keep them involved. And try to keep something going on the whole year, because a lot of time between this election and next election. But we're going to try to do that, certainly.
And have you heard of any problem? We're hearing it's pretty smooth at the polls. Have you heard any problems at the polls locally? Or?
Yeah, there's been some lines. A couple of the polls have, take a little, the delays were a little longer than usual, but it's pretty smooth. I went to vote this morning around 10:30. It took a few minutes.
Where did you vote?
At the Danbury High School.
Okay. Then in terms of the optical scanning machines, do you prefer that to the old lever machines? Or some people are saying there's like a lack of privacy almost. They feel like it's so accustomed to the old.
I've worked at the polls, and if you do it correctly, you can assure the privacy of the people, making sure things are spread out. They can be very private. But the old machines worked very well. It's just you couldn't replace them and you couldn't fix them. But they work very well. But these machines are proving to be very accurate and very safe, and I think they'll be fine.
And then in terms of, what will this be like here tonight? Are you going to have a mob of people here? And what's going to go over? What, are you going to get all results in, or what's going to happen?
Well, yes. We have two satellite headquarters at Worcester Hose and Padden Hose. And they'll close that around 8, and people will come here. And there'll be a lot of people, believe me. And we'll have people at all the polling places, all 7 polling places, gathering the numbers and calling them in. And people will be waiting maybe not so patiently for those results, but it's going to be a later time that we get those results, I believe, because remember, anyone who's at the polls by 8 o'clock can vote, even if it's 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
If as long as you're on the line.
As long as you're in the line, they'll put someone at the end of the line and, shut the door behind them. And but I believe that this election, there will be people who get there close to 8 who will be able to vote, and it'll be later. So. And just to tabulate all those numbers, it'll be a lot later than usual.
What time, if you had to put a number on it, what time do you think it would happen?
I think by 9:30 we should have a good idea.
Okay, that's not
the
too
local
bad.
kid. No, it shouldn't be.
9 or 9:30. And I guess we
Unless
have
there's something gets bollocksed up somewhere, who knows.
right. I guess we have a question. That's our online editor there, Keith Wahman. He's asking, how do you handicap the Murphy-Capiello race? He hasn't seen any polling done, but do you think it'll be close?
I think that Chris Murphy will prevail. I think Dave Capiello is fairly popular in this area, but I think he'll run well in Danbury. But it's a large district, and there's a lot of towns outside of Danbury where Dave isn't quite as well known. So I think Chris will prevail. I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I think I'd put my chips on him.
You think I've seen it? Maybe it was the New York Times or the Current had someone saying they thought Murphy would win by double digits in the area. Do you think that's too?
I don't know if it would be that high. Maybe in the whole district. I mean, he's run a very aggressive campaign, and I think, as I said, he won't run as well in Danbury because he's a local candidate. But that's the same in every congressional election. Every election has a hometown person running. So no, I think he may approach double digits, and I certainly hope he does.
All right, that's it. Thanks for taking a couple of minutes.
Thank you. It was my
I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. I haven't done one of these since he's on left City Hall. No, we used to do. Well, in those days, he had the radio people. When on News Times, actually had, the City
A bunch
Hall
of people.
reporters. When there was somebody there, I don't know if you remember John Chesto.
I've heard the name. I never met him. I never met him.
10 times a day.